I'd like to take a moment to thank the Blockchain Academy. The Blockchain Academy is an educational training firm offering blockchain training to the enterprise. The Blockchain Academy offers courses for both management and developers, offering delivery online and in live classrooms. The Blockchain Academy works with enterprise clients to create and deliver innovative training programs globally. They recently announced a new blockchain course targeted towards attorneys. To learn more about the Blockchain Academy, visit them at www.theblockchainacademy.com.
This is the Blockchain 360 podcast. Blockchain 360 is a podcast of interviews and discussions about the current state and direction of blockchain. Thank you for joining us today. If this is your first time listening, then thank you for coming. The Blockchain 360 podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at our website, blockchain360.co. Come back often and feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter at Blockchain360. All links discussed today are included in the show notes.
My name is Brian Nilsson, and I am your host here on Blockchain 360, where we talk about everything blockchain. Today's guest is Alex Lubinsky. He is the CEO of Rentberry, and Rentberry is an innovative, transparent rental auction site that creates a healthy environment in which all prospective tenants can evaluate the competition to make educated offers. And they do this through an open assessment, results in a fair market price that benefits both the landlord and the tenant. Alex has been described as a brilliant entrepreneur with a passion for technology that brings direct value to customers. His knowledge and energy around startups is excellent, and his expertise in company growth coupled with vast connections make him one of the best financial and startup experts in Silicon Valley. Alex, I want to welcome you to the Blockchain 360.
Hi, yes, it's my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure.
Well, so we started this conversation. You just flew back. Where are you located? You're in San Francisco, right?
So yeah, we are based in San Francisco in a Soma district, and I came back from New York, where our company was, speaker at the Blockchain Economic Forum in Manhattan.
That was the one in the Intercontinental Hotel.
Yep, it was, yes. Mm-hmm.
Actually, I didn't even know that they were running that conference yesterday. I knew of a conference actually at the same hotel, a blockchain conference a week ago. But I went in because I parked my car literally right across the street. And I went in just to get a glass of water. I was just dying of thirst. And a guy came up to me and he was wearing a tag. And I'm going like, oh, what is this? And he's going like, oh, there's this blockchain conference. And I'm going like, oh, wow. So you were actually a speaker at that conference.
Yep, I was. As a matter of fact, we are speakers at about 15 different conferences. About a week ago, we actually even won the award in one of the conferences in China, and it was a Global FinTech and Blockchain China Summit.
Wow.
In Shanghai. So our company won the Best Blockchain Application Award. We're
going to talk about that for sure. It's actually surprising that I haven't come across you at these conferences because this year I'll have done almost 20 blockchain conferences where I'm either a speaker or a keynote.
Oh, wow.
But I'm not actually out there talking about, an implementation. I actually talk about blockchain and its the need for people to be aware of what the talent issues are. But enough about me. Let's talk about Rentberry. So tell me more about Rentberry. I mean, I've been to the website. I've looked at it. How long has Rentberry been around?
So we started the company back in 2015, so already for more than 2 years. And the reason we started the company is because at that time, my partners and I, we were looking for a place to rent in a city, and it took us almost 30 days to actually find and rent the place. So the process was pretty horrible. I can even call it, horrendous. And the problem is not lack of inventory, because people say, oh, it's San Francisco, it's a hot market, so that's why it took you so long? No, it's actually not, because even in hot markets like San Francisco or New York or some parts of Boston and Chicago, there are still lots of properties for rent at different price points. So the problem is actually rental experience itself, because if you look at the current state of the long-term rental space, you can see that every single platform on the market, or they call themselves platforms. As a matter of fact, all of them are classifieds. Craigslist, Zillow,
Right,
Trulia,
exactly. Yeah.
Realtor.com. And what I mean by classifieds is that they show you pictures of the properties, they show you description of the property, and that's pretty much it. Then you are on your own. You need to, fill out paper applications. You need to participate in under the table bidding wars. You need to send, paper checks. You need to provide, your confidential information like social security numbers and whatnot to every single landlord to whom you apply. And this list goes on and on and on, And at that time we thought, that's not right. I mean, you got lots of other industries which have been disrupted. You got transportation, Uber, you got social media, Facebook, you got short-term rental, Airbnb, you got news, you got Twitter. But when it comes to the long-term rental space, you have nobody. Which is like a leading company in the United States and even globally. So we thought, why not create a platform where all of the rental tasks will be done in the same place. So essentially provide a unique rental experience, and that's how we like to call it, where people would go to the platform not every year, when they're looking for the properties to rent, but actually they would go to the platform every couple of weeks, maybe every month when they will be paying rent, or every couple of weeks when they will be looking for the house cleaner, or maybe handyman, or maybe somebody else like third-party service providers. And that's what we have done.
Okay. Well, how is it you came to even, aside from needing to find a place and having difficulty finding it, what is your background that actually pushed you from whatever you were doing before to actually creating this real estate based platform? So what is your background?
Yep, excellent question. So I'm a finance guy. So I graduated from UC Berkeley back in 2004 with the 3 degrees. All of them are essentially around finance and then business and economics. And I was an investment banker for most of my life. Prior to Rentberry, we actually founded and sold one of the other companies with my partners. It was called City Hour, and essentially that was the networking application for business professionals, where people could essentially network with each other and meet each other, in different parts of the world based on their calendar availability. So we exited from that company in January of 2015, and essentially since then we are kind of working full time on Rentberry.
So you had this networking. First of all, you have a finance background.
Mm-hmm.
You spent your time in that sector. Then you founded this networking site called City Hour. You actually then sell that off, and then you say, you know what, I'm going to want to find myself into the real estate business. How is it that, what was the impetus just that you were trying to find a place and saw that there was a huge demand out there and no one filling it? Is that how Rentberry came to fruition?
Yeah, it's all of little pieces together. One of the things is that, we got free time essentially because we exited the prior company. The other thing is this really cumbersome, horrible experience which we had received in the kind of long-term rental space. The other thing is that we have lots of kind of friends and families who own properties, who rent out properties, and once in a while you hear those stories of how inefficient this sector is, and then when you add all of this together, you're like just sitting one day and you're like, well, let's do something about this. Let's just try to change it.
Okay, so Rentberry is an integrated platform. Has it always been on the blockchain?
Awesome.
Or is this a new implementation?
It's a new implementation. So, and I'll tell you why. In April of this year, in April of 2017, we became nationwide in the United States. So as a matter of fact, our platform is available in almost 5,000 cities across the United States. Um,
Oh, that's great because you only list 40 on your website.
yeah, but those are like key cities 40. But actually, there are almost 5,000 cities. Some of them are smaller than San Francisco, New York, things like that. And since
Nobody travels to those.
I mean, I guess. Um,
I'm only teasing. I came from a small city, so
Yeah, same here. um, but it's really interesting that when we got when we became nationwide, we got lots of media attention as well. So like Forbes, BBC, Mashable, lots of TV station even talked about us, and I'm talking about Fox 5, CBS, NBC, Pix 11, talked about us in primetime news. So
sure.
we got lots of media exposure, and then we started to receive lots of different emails and phone calls from people not just in the United States but internationally. People from Australia, New Zealand, Canada, UK, asking us like, "Hey guys, I mean, we love your concept, we love your platform. When can you become available in our home countries?" And then, also the other individuals were asking us like, the platform is awesome, but help us to solve the problem with the rental security deposits. And we're like,
Right.
what kind of problem are you talking about? And they're like, well, the problem that I need to freeze, $5,000, $4,000 for a very long period of time. And I never damage the property. I never default on the rental payments. And, why do I need to freeze that much money for such a long period of time? And so we started,
Right.
from April of this year, we started to analyze this space. And, we found out some really, really interesting things that around $500 billion is actually blocked in rental security deposits. You just think about like $500 billion. I mean, this number is staggering. And then,
Right.
99% of the people never actually damage anything and never default on the rent payments. So they're good citizens, right? So they just rent the place, they just move out of the place, they clean the place after they, prior to their move out date and things like that. And so the thing is that on average, individuals, graduate university at the age of 21, and, they buy their first property at the age of 43, 45. So for more than 20 years, they rent. They can switch different landlords, but the point is that they still rent. They
Right.
yeah, and the money is still frozen. So we like when we looked at this, we're like, that's not just that's not right. We need to change this. Why when you go to the car dealership, and this is the analogy I want to make, you go to the car dealership, you want to buy a car, you have an excellent credit score, you have the most favorable APR. You have almost, in some cases, even zero, APR. If you have a mediocre credit score, you got, 4% interest rate, 5% interest rate, things like that on the loan for the car. So same here, the logic's supposed to apply here as well. So if you're a good citizen, if you're a good tenant, why do you need to freeze exactly the same amount of money as somebody else who might not be as perfect as you? And so
Exactly.
And so blockchain and smart contracts, this is the only technology which allows for this to be kind of in a seamless manner, in the kind of decentralized manner. Because what we allow on our platform right now is for the essentially community to back each other up. And what do I mean by this is the following, that, we already have hundreds of thousands of users on the platform, but the idea is that, there are millions and millions of people out there. And for some people, they want their cash to be unblocked. Maybe a teacher in San Francisco, she doesn't make a lot of money and she doesn't want to freeze, $5,000 on the security deposit. And she preferred this money to be unblocked, or somebody else who just want this cash and, to buy furniture, maybe to go travel somewhere, things like that. And on the other hand, you have millions and millions of people who have a lot of money, and as a matter of fact, $35 trillion sitting in the savings and checking accounts, generating really small 0.06% on average interest rate on a yearly basis. Can you imagine this? Like you got this pile of cash sitting in the banks, generating almost nothing. And on the other side, you got, millions of people who freeze another pile of cash, who basically saying, why do we need to freeze this, whole bunch of money? So our goal through the blockchain, and this is what we're doing, is to, essentially combine those two pieces of the puzzle together, where the community members who have cash, they might come in and say, listen, for example, like Alex, I'll give you, $50, as a portion of your rental security deposit, and somebody else might step in and say, I'll give you another, $75, and somebody else will say, I'll give you another $500. So essentially, community members will be able to back people who prefer their rental security deposits to be unblocked for the rewards. And rewards is essentially interest rate. And the idea is that it will balance each other out, kind of supply and demand, where the community members, they are looking for the best tenants, right? And they evaluate different things. They evaluate, credit scores, eviction history, criminal reports, and reviews and ratings of the prior landlords and things like that. And so based on that information, they submit different offers. So for example, for Alex, I might say, I'll give you $50 at 2% interest rate. But for Jason, I might say, hey, Jason, I'll give you exactly the same amount of money, but at 5% interest rate. On the other hand,
So in essence, what you've done is you've tokenized the deposit.
we did, yeah. We did, and
Very clever.
and it's lots of people love it. So at every conference where we speak, everyone is really excited because this is kind of a painful point, which is really understandable to everyone, because every single person, or almost, I guess, every single person was a tenant or a landlord, at one point of time in their life. So they know this problematic and this hassle of freezing that much money. And even for the landlords, because legally in the United States, the landlord's supposed to take that security deposit. They need to go to the bank, open a separate savings account, put that money in a separate savings account, and then, by the time the rental agreement is over, they need to go back to the bank, take this money out, and essentially with the interest rate which was accumulated over the past, a year or 2 years, they need to return this money back to the tenants. So that's just too many things which the landlord needs to do in order to implement this nowadays. But with the blockchain and smart contracts, everything would be done and then printed on the smart contracts. Everything will be done automatically. So the tenants, they will still need to put down 10% of rental security deposits, and 10% is essentially kind of as a deductible in case anything will actually break. So the first money will be paid is of the tenant of this deductible, and the 90%. The community members can come in and collectively come up with the other 90%. And what I mean by collectively is that it can be 10 people who will put down the other 90%, or it can be 10,000 people who will put down the other 90% for the rental security deposits.
So is there any security laws in terms of this that you're going to be addressing? I mean, the ability to actually create an instrument that will actually provide a return to people. I mean, if it's 10 people for one person, that's fine. But I mean, you're going to be doing this in mass. I mean, in theory, you could have millions of people making investments in the deposits for all these tenants, correct?
Yep, you're absolutely right. So that's the beauty of this is that we are not only helping tenants to save money, we're actually helping millions of people on the other side to actually generate higher return than they would otherwise in the savings account. And we're talking about on average, that's our estimate. It should be around 5%, but again, that's kind of our estimate. It might be even higher, or it might be a bit lower, but still much better than 0.06% stacked in the savings accounts in most of the banks.
I want to return to this in a second, but one of the things that is unique about your site is you have this idea of transparent rental auction.
Yep.
Can you explain that to me?
Sure, absolutely. So, when we look at the space,
let's say we have 3 people who want the same property. How does the transparent rental auction work for them?
So historically, and I'll tell you, kind of the history of why we decided, to come up with this idea. For a number of reasons. When we analyzed the space, we actually spoke to about 5,000 landlords and tenants all over the United States. And, we found out that all of them use different platforms because there is no differentiation. There is no value creation to the users. So people, for example, in San Francisco, they use Zumper. People in New York, they use Street Easy. People, in Texas, they use Craigslist, and the list goes on and on and on, depending on the locations. So for the landlord, for example, in San Francisco, they use Zumper. I mean, they can use also, if somebody in Los Angeles can use Zillow and Trulia, and it's all kind of the same. There is no value creation. So we thought, okay, so how we can build a platform and have all of those tools for the landlords, but at the same time create an absolute and massive value for the both user groups. And this is where the transparency comes in, because essentially it allows for the landlord to maximize, essentially get the true maximum rental price for his or her property, and for the tenant to be able, first of all, to have the transparent rental experience, so they will be able to actually see exactly how many people applying, what they are offering, not confidential information, but kind of in general, this is applicant one, this is applicant two, and things like that. And
well, it's kind of like an eBay. You've created up a transparent auction site.
In a sense, but some people say, oh, like it's kind of like eBay but for rentals. When we think about eBay, it's all about that the prices will go up, right? When you go to the eBay, you put a computer, you kind of expect that this computer will cost more than you initially asked for. Right. On our platform, again, the beauty is that the price can actually go down. Because it's all about, again, we're going back to the kind of economics, supply and demand, and transparency. So in many cases, even in hot markets, sometimes landlords, they put a property, let's say $3,000 in San Francisco, and then this property is on the market for like 2 weeks and nobody is renting this property. So using our technology, people can actually do seamless negotiations with the landlord, and somebody might come in and say, listen, I will rent this property, but this is my offer. And they might offer, not $3,000, but actually, $2,900. Or they might say, okay, I'll give you $3,000, but I want, 20% discount in rental security deposits and things like that. The other beauty is that, as mentioned initially, all tenants are different, right? So somebody who just graduated university and likes to party and has, 5 roommates, or somebody else who has a family and, stable job and high income, and, the last time this person partied was like 15 years ago. You know what I mean, right? So different people should come up essentially with different offers because of this. And historically, if you would go to the open house, you can see a whole bunch of people, shopping around, looking at the property, and then you go home and you're like, well, so there was a whole bunch of people. They probably all submitted offers. So what should I offer? And you have no clue. You have no idea what to offer, right? And you just start, offering some random numbers to the landlord, and then in a couple of days you realize that you lost this property to somebody else because somebody offered more than you did. With our technology, you know exactly who is offering what, and it's not necessarily.
So you make qualitative
exactly
decisions based rather than just quantitative decisions.
Exactly. And one thing that I want to mention is, for example, first of all, not many people like to do face-to-face negotiations or over-the-phone negotiations. It's always kind of awkward thing to do. It's same as going to the car dealership and saying, oh, can you give me a discount for the car? And we all know what kind of experience that is. Many people just want to stay away from kind of negotiations with the landlords. We are kind of a middleman. So we are technology middlemen. There is no need for you to go and make calls or meet with the landlord and try to do those negotiations over the phone or kind of personally face to face. We take care of this. The other thing which I wanted to touch base is, I'll give you another example. So, let's say 3 people applying for the property.
Right.
Historically, I would probably at once offer kind of the maximum amount which I can offer for this property, right? Or my budget allows for this property. But let's say the other 2 individuals, as mentioned, they just graduated university. They have 5 roommates. One of them has a dog. Another one has 5 cats, and things like that. So, looking at the competition for this property, I will not offer the maximum amount because I know I'm just a better tenant. And so in this case, I will probably offer exactly the same amount of money which landlord asks, or maybe even less, because out of all the people who apply for this property, I'm the best tenant. And there was a really nice article published about us in the Wall Street Journal. I think the journalist's name was Michael. I think it was Michael. But anyways, so Michael, he actually went and interviewed landlords who use our platform. And, he published a couple of the things which those landlords told him. And one of them was, one lady, she got 15 applications. Can you imagine, like 15? Historically, all of those people would be offering, a lot of money, higher than everyone else. Using our technology, she actually picked and chose the person who offered her exactly the same amount of money that she asked, because that individual was just the most qualified out of all other people who submitted applications. And so essentially, we allowed for this individual, first of all, to save money, because historically, without our platform, without our technology, that person probably, in order to win this property, would offer her kind of the most money that individual would be budgeting for this property, because he or she would think, oh, there is such a high competition. I need in order to win, I need to offer kind of the maximum amount of money. But using our technology, that individual realized that he or she is the best tenant. And that's why they decided not to actually offer more. And it's not only about price, right? It's all about quality as well, because for the landlords, it's really crucial to have a high quality individual or a family or a couple who will not damage the property and will not default on the rental payments in the future.
I would like to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, the Blockchain Academy. The Blockchain Academy is an educational training firm offering blockchain training for developers and stakeholders. The Blockchain Academy is currently offering the following live courses: Blockchain Security, Hyperledger Developer Workshop, and Ethereum 0 to D app. Visit the Blockchain Academy's website for course outlines and course dates. The Blockchain Academy's courses can be delivered as a company-specific training, tailor-made to fit your organizational needs, delivered both on-site and online. The Blockchain Academy's training is cost-effective, flexible, and can be conducted in a manner that best suits your organizational needs. To learn more about the Blockchain Academy, visit them at www.theblockchainacademy.com. I see on your website that you actually now also offer the ability for the rental agreements to be signed digitally. So many landlords have different rental agreements. How did you get all these people to actually coalesce to a uniform platform and a uniform document?
Excellent question. We actually do not. So we have no standard agreement for everyone. As a matter of fact, our technology works in the way where the landlord, every single landlord, they can upload his or her rental agreement that they are comfortable using. And that's exactly the thing, because, in different states, there's different legal systems, kind of landlord, tenant, long-term rental laws. And it's just impossible to create one document which would combine all of the legality and all of the legal issues in one document in one place. So that's why we allow for flexibility, and we just allow for different landlords to use their own kind of rental agreements which they already used in the past.
So they can upload this into your system, and then any prospective tenant will actually be able to then execute this digitally, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, then the next step that you've actually done here is you've actually created an opportunity for the tenants to pay their rent online. Now, I presume that's through the Rentberry system.
Yep, exactly. So people can pay rent online. In the nearest future, they will be able to pay in our tokens. So as mentioned, right, so everything will be tokenized, and people will be able to actually save even more by using cryptocurrency, which we have. So people can pay through our platform already. It takes, minutes for the payment to be processed, and it's really, really easy, and much cheaper than paying with credit cards, and at the same time does not waste the same amount of time as paying with the checks, when you need to actually mail the check, and the landlord needs to take this check, go to the bank, and cash this check, and wait for like 7 days for this check to be cleared. Yeah.
Yep. So these payments, they're paid in Rentberry tokens, or can they be in any cryptocurrency, or can they actually do an ACH? What are the options for paying rent?
So the options, it will be two things. So people will be able to pay with the ICH, but at the same time, they will be able to pay in our cryptocurrency, Berry tokens.
All right. So the next item that you have for tenants is they can also do a maintenance service request saying, okay, I have a leaky faucet and I need to have it fixed, or which would be non-high priority. High priority is that my toilet blew up and you have to get here and fix this. How is it that the landlords are allowing you to manage these maintenance services?
Well, in actuality,
Are you coordinating then with like the
no.
the people who are actually doing this? I mean, how does this all work?
So what we call by maintenance requests is the following: that the tenants can very easily communicate with the landlord about any problems that might happen with the property. Historically, for example, the tenant needs to make phone calls and or write the emails, and hopefully it won't go to the junk folder, and hopefully the landlord will always pick up the phone. Using our internal communication system, first of all, everything is saved. And this is really crucial because in case of the disputes in the future, there is always a case where the tenant might say, like, listen, I wrote you, on that specific date, at that specific time, and I told you that this problem exists, and basically, it's supposed to be fixed. And essentially, well,
So it's basically creating a record.
Yep, it does.
That's what it's doing.
It does.
So
it creates a record.
So when a tenant actually makes this maintenance request, the landlord is notified by email. What?
Email, phone, and through the internal communication system on the platform. So three ways notification.
All right. So now let's turn from the tenants to the landlord side of things. Obviously, the Rentberry platform allows for the landlords to actually post or add their properties.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there a mechanism that also allows for other sites to access this? I mean, is there like a shared listing component or partners that you have that also then enable people who aren't finding Rentberry, but finding, they're saying like, okay, I need to, rent a place in Hoboken, New Jersey, and I don't know where to go, and so I'm finding a different place. I mean, do you have partners with this?
Oh, we do. So right now we're offering a couple of things to the landlords. When they add a property on our platform, they add it only once, and the same information is available on multiple other real estate platforms at the same time. So we save tons of time to the landlords, because historically they would need to go to every single platform and add exactly the same information over and over and over again. We do it for them with the one click. And you're absolutely right. So we partnered with a number of companies, and that allows for the landlord to maximize the visibility of the property. And so, the tenants might see this information on our platform, or they might see this information on some other platform. But the beauty and the idea is that no matter where they see information about the property, they always come back to our platform because of the all of the functionality which we allow to the landlord to have, and we're talking about the rental kind of auction technology, document execution, maintenance requests, rental applications where tenants, when they apply for the property, landlords can very easily receive all of the applications in one place, in one standard, and analyze all of them kind of very, very seamlessly.
Does your platform allow for the properties to be rented faster?
It does, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's
now
the goal, to save time and money.
right.
So
now, so on the landlord side, when they have these three people who actually come in, so you have, I'm just going to choose an old rock band, Peter, Paul, and Mary, and they're coming in individually to rent this property. What does the landlord see? I mean, so Peter, Paul, and Mary fill out an application separately, and their credit is pulled, I presume. And so does the landlord get to see this, this grid of prospective tenants and what their credit score is and what their price offer is and
Absolutely.
a little bit about them?
Yep, you actually saying exactly how it works. So all of those individuals who apply for the property, they go through exactly the same process. We pull, credit reports for all of them, criminal reports, background reports, eviction history on all of them, and at the same time, in combination with the information that they provide, like the salary on which they make, any additional documents that they want to attach as well, like W-2 or maybe bank statements, all of that information is automatically transferred to the landlord, where they can really, really easily analyze it, compare it side by side, different
Right.
different tenants, and kind of pick and choose the best one. If they want to reject any of the applicants, they can do this with one click, and I shall also specify the reason for the rejection. So, for example, not enough information, or low credit score, or low offer, and things like that. So this way, tenants know exactly why they were rejected, without guessing game. So they know exactly why the application got rejected by the landlord.
All right. Are there pictures attached to these, or is it just informational screening that worked on?
That's a nice question. So we, for fun, we allow for the avatars. So there is not no so much pictures, because pictures, it can be discriminatory. So
That's true.
So that's why we do not force people to attach any pictures, but we just tell them, listen, if you want to have avatar, like on the Facebook or Twitter,
Sure.
or Uber, when you use those applications, you have the avatar. You can use it. If you want to add your picture as avatar, please be my guest, and you can have it. If you want to have a picture of your dog or something else as your avatar, you can do so as well.
Well, if you're trying to rent a place with no dogs, don't put your dog on as the picture.
That's for sure.
All right. So now you pointed out that the tenants have the ability to pay the rent online. Why would the landlords accept rent online? I mean, where does Rentberry fit into that mix? I mean, are you taking a percentage? How does that money transfer actually work? And how is it that you're monetizing it for yourself?
Yeah, excellent question. So we monetize in a number of different ways. In terms of, I'll go like in steps. So the reason why it's interesting to the landlord is because, historically, in like 90% of the landlords, they take checks, right? So people do mail those checks, and they need to take those checks and go to the bank and cash those checks, and hopefully they will not bounce. So lots of time wasted, essentially. So when everything is done automatically, everything is done through one platform, where all of this information is recorded and saved, for any disputes and things like that. So the landlord can always go back and say, hey, did Alex pay my rent in September of 2016? And on which date the rent was paid? And, that information is always available 24/7 to the landlords. So that's kind of one thing. The other, kind of crucial things is about, monetization. You're asking, like, where do we monetize? So we take a fee every time the people apply for the property. We call it, kind of application fee.
Sure.
Which is still much cheaper than nowadays, but we still take a fee there. As mentioned, with the crowdsourced, rental security deposits, will be taking a small percentage of that as well. So when, people will be able to save, millions and billions of dollars essentially in rental security deposits, we'll be taking a small fee for this services. And
Well, I want to stop you right there. So on that one, so you're creating a platform for investors to actually invest in people
Mhm.
for these security deposits. Now, that's really going to be separate from what is helping the landlords. I mean, it's a separate platform, obviously. So,
No, it's
so in theory, I could say I have $100,000 and I want to actually get something more than what a CD is currently paying, which is pretty close to zero, and say, you know what, I'd like to get 5% from it. So I'm going to go to the Rentberry thing and
Mhm.
platform, and I actually want to, spread my 100,000 across, say, 100 people or 1,000 people.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
I'm taking small bits from everyone. Now, who's managing that investment? And I mean, do the landlords get that security deposit, or how is that all working out?
So it's saved on the smart contract and always available for landlord. So in case the beauty is that landlord doesn't need to actually take that money, take those coins, our tokens essentially, and put them somewhere like in the bank or in the wallet and things like that. So it's there. The money were already through the smart contract essentially blocked in the from the wallets of the community and from the wallet of the tenant. And in case anything gets broken, in case there is no payment, a landlord can really easily go and access this essentially pile of cash. Yeah.
Okay. So I understand that then. And so you're actually managing it through your blockchain,
Yep.
that investment. Uh, so the landlord still gets it. Now, what you're saying is that the landlord has access to the tokenized value of this, but who's actually holding the cash? I mean, uh, so if I'm an investor, do I buy these rent tokens or rent coins, and then that's how I actually do this?
Yep. So
And
every
so who's holding that cash? I mean, is Rentberry holding that cash? How does that all work?
it's holding on the public blockchain. So basically everything is tokenized. So if you are the investor, let's call you an investor, kind of like community member, and you want to help out
Right.
other tenants, other individuals, yes, you need to go and buy tokens, because in this case security deposits will be tokenized and everything will be done in tokens. The tenants, same here. I mean, if they want to use this functionality, this feature, they need to buy tokens, and they put 10%. 90% is put by the community members.
Okay. Speaking now also of the number of properties you have, how many properties are currently listed on Rentberry?
Um, Overall, we processed just recent number, a couple of days old. I think like 210,000, or even probably even slightly more than this.
Okay. How many of those properties, how many landlords does that represent?
Oh, a lot. The split is probably about 60-40. 60% of the landlords, 40% of the tenants. That's my guess. Not my guess, but that's kind of the statistics which we have.
Right. So the landlords, are these like single unit landlords? I mean, or are they multiple unit landlords?
For most of the parts is a single family landlords. Majority, like 75% of the market in the United States are actually single family landlords. Somebody who own couple of properties at most.
Right.
Those,
Right.
those large apartment complexes, corporations, multifamily property management companies is actually not the biggest percentage of the market, but we do have them as well. So our kind of user base for the most part is single family landlords, but we also have property management companies, and we are in discussion right now with number of multifamilies as well.
So what's the largest landlord that is using, how many units is the largest single landlord have on Rentberry?
In hundreds, I would say.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
great.
And right now we are
All
discussing
right.
with some of them, who have thousands of units. So hopefully by end of the year
So
we'll have more landlords, but who have thousands and thousands of properties essentially.
so your platform itself is obviously a web-based platform,
Mhm.
and it allows for everybody to have what you're referring to, I guess, as digital wallets. So you would have a wallet for everything.
Mhm.
Are the landlords able to, I mean, you're acting then as the almost not the property manager, but you're actually acting as an agent of all these landlords because you're collecting the rents, you're managing the that those payment histories, you're
Mhm.
actually managing the leases themselves. What does the what does the landlord pay you for those services?
It's a portion, a really really small portion, like a fee. I can give you in US dollars for different things, kind of an estimate, but for
Okay.
the blockchain, it will be a bit different because everything will be done in our tokens. But for the for let me pull it up, pricing landlords. So for marketing, because the properties can be promoted on the platform as well, kind of like in Google AdWords, essentially, they can be highlighted and always at the top and syndicated to other real estate websites, as mentioned. So that costs right now $49.99 per property for a 30-day period of promotion. Also, all single family landlords who have less than 3 properties use the platform absolutely free of charge. They do not
Oh,
Yeah, they
nice.
do not pay anything. So only if you have more than 3 properties, at that time you start paying $24.99 per month to use our platform. And our idea is that if you have more than 3 properties, you probably in the rental business, and if you are in the rental business,
Right.
then you will need to pay us a really really small fee for that as well.
Okay. So getting back to this, let me get my head around this. So your product currently is migrating to a blockchain
Yep.
product. What percentage of your business is currently on the blockchain?
It's everything is in the process of migration. So we are, the migration will happen, like the full migration will happen at the end of our ICO. So the initial coin offering is planned at the end to be started at the end of this month, at the end of November. Initially for the November 20th, but this date might be shifted a bit to the beginning of the December. And once this ICO will be over, then at that stage the tokenization will be over as well for the platform.
How much are you trying to raise through your token sale?
30 million, and we already have subscribed more than 17, actually almost 18 million. And just to keep it, just to add one thing as well, this is not the first investment which we essentially raise. So historically, we also raised 2 rounds of financing, totaling $4 million from top-notch VC funds and high-profile individual angel investors. And a couple of them I can even mention. So, for example, Jade Value slash Cashbus is the largest microloan company in China. So they have invested in our company. We have
Wow.
the CEO of Swiss Life, largest insurance company in Switzerland and Europe. They invested in our company as well. We have the president of Nokia Technologies, so he invested in our company as well. And I mean, this list goes on and on and on. We have investors from 11 countries, Australia, New Zealand, China, Canada, United States, UK, Germany, France, Switzerland, Poland, Italy, and Qatar.
Wow. So let's now transition to your team. Tell me about who are the influential parts of your team. I mean, obviously, you can't have everybody. How many people do you have
23
currently
people.
working?
23 people.
So, who are the top 5 people that are making the most impact here at Rentberry?
Well, it's Lily. So she's a chief product officer. So she's responsible for usability and the way the platform looks like, the way the mobile version of the platform looks like. It's actually because of her, because she's the best when it comes to the usability and marketing and promotion, what kind of functionality we need to have, how we need to position this on our website, and then things like that. We also have Alex Perfilov. He's our CTO. So I know Alex for many, many years. We went to UC Berkeley together. Then he went to Stanford University and was working for a number of different top-notch companies around Silicon Valley, including High Five, Altera, Amazon, and this list goes on and on and on. And myself, I do.
Yeah, don't forget you.
Yeah, I put myself on the third position, but I talk to the investors, raise capital. I'm a finance guy, as mentioned, and just pushing this forward with my connections and essential expertise which I have. We also have. Two more people. One of them is Dennis. So he is the blockchain developer, which we have really top-notch guy, knows everything. Coder for many, many years, and I would probably call him like as one of the best blockchain developers out there. Also, we have Alex Katovskov, and he is our designer. As a matter of fact, a week ago we won as one of the best designs. Our website basically won as one of the best designs for 2017. So we definitely have one of the best designers out there working in our company.
So, who are your team of advisors? I am looking at your screen here. I actually know Adi Benari. So,
oh, you do?
I do. I've had lunch with him many times. I've been to his offices in London, and he's actually done some things with me in conjunction with what I do.
So, Eddie, you're absolutely right. So he's from Applied Blockchain. So he helps us out also when it comes to the technological aspects of the blockchain in relations to our business. He's an awesome guy. He helped us a lot. Helped us also with the kind of technological aspects of the blockchain when it comes to the white paper, things like that. We do have, as a matter of fact, like a number of different advisors. They are listed on our ICO website, ico.rentberry.com, and all of them. The list is too long for me to call any kind of specific names and say, oh, this is kind of the most crucial advisor.
I only referenced it because I know him.
Yep. All of them play a crucial role. We have advisors from legal. Legal industries, like from the law firms who offer us kind of legal advices. We have advisors when it comes to the international aspects, because the goal for our platform is to be expanded to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, UK, and then to other regions around the world. So we have people from those countries kind of advising us of how to proceed the best. We have people from marketing industries. So, for example, Michael Fernandez, he is the CEO of Factory 360, which is a marketing company. We do have advisors from technology spaces. Like, for example, Trevor Richards, he is the CTO of Lightwall Corporation. We have VP of Technology from Ericsson, and this list goes on and on. We also have advisors from when it comes to the patents, because we are in the process of patenting our technology. And we, for example, have William Robinson. He's one of the best patent specialists in Silicon Valley, and he's our advisor in the company as well. Yep.
Wow. So this is a very interesting thing that you've done. I think that what you've been creating is actually quite phenomenal. I think it's a perfect solution for people who have a limited number of units, but apparently you've even figured out how to provide the services to landlords who own, hundreds or even thousands of units. So when does your token sale happen again?
So it's planned for November 20th, but it definitely will happen at the end of November, beginning of December. But the exact date so far, it's November 20th, but it might be shifted for about a week or so.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is a fantastic thing, Alex. I want to thank you actually for coming on Blockchain 360. We're going to be releasing this in a week, so this particular podcast. So hopefully it'll have a nice impact for you. with your token sale.
Thank you.
I want to thank you again, though, for participating here on Blockchain 360.
Brian, it's my pleasure. If you will have any other questions, just let me know. You can always, call me or shoot me an email. But it's absolutely my pleasure to participate. On Blockchain 360 podcast.
Well, thank you very much.
The Blockchain 360 podcast is produced weekly. Have a question? Want us to interview someone specific? Wish to hear about a particular topic? Let us know. You can email podcast@blockchain360.co or tweet us on Twitter @blockchain360 or at our website blockchain360.co.